It's the College Crossfire Halloween Spooktacular. Woo! We've got a jam-packed show for you tonight, going over an awesome set of content. We've got college football. We've got...
keep going.
You ruined it.
And an extra scary floor.
We've got college football. We've got men's and women's college basketball. We've got our second week of the sports equinox. So we are loaded on things to talk about tonight. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to all our viewers. I'm your host, Robert Gonsolin, and we have a great show in store for you. It's our Halloween special. For the third year in a row, we're hosting our all-female panel on Halloween week. It should be a great time. Everyone's in costumes. Everyone is in their favorite character or animal or athlete or just favorite. I'm in an astronaut suit, you know, one of my favorite want-to-be's when I was growing up. But it should be a fun one. But before meeting our contestants, I want to share that today's show is brought to you by Cat Metro, Austin's transit system. We connect you to work, school, play, and everywhere in between. So plan your ride to next weekend's game at catmetro.org. All right, let's get into it. So without further ado, it's time to introduce our contestants. As I already said, I'm in an astronaut costume, but leading off on first base, we have someone who killed it on the Vanderbilt coverage this past weekend. In case you didn't hear, she went to Nashville. It's Kendell Ungar. Kendall, and you seem to be a tiger tonight.
Yes, my high school mascot was a tiger, so we had these shirts, so I thought I would be a tiger tonight. But yeah, back from Nashville.
How was it?
It was super fun. It was kind of scary. We almost lost it there, but we didn't, so.
Well, we're glad the Horns came away with the win. And on second base tonight, she's brought her need for speed because she's Lightning McQueen, but she's also the one and only Debanny Cerda. Debanny, how's it going?
It's going good. I mean, we have a little bit of ghost in here, clearly. We just have hangers today, but it's okay. Keep it spooky.
Keeping it spooky, that's right. There's a lot of ghosts going around here. That's why we don't have any jerseys up right now except the one behind me. Ending things off on our introductions tonight, it's a lady who is repping all the H-Town gear from CJ Stroud to Orbit. It's Perla Paredes. Perla, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm, CJ Stroud today, my QB1, but I'm excited.
Well, we're excited to have all three of you here. But that's going to wrap things up for our intros. It's time for the real show now. But before we get started, I have to go over the rules just in case everyone is on the same page. There's going to be 3 rounds with each one containing 3 questions. Points will be given to who I believe has the best answer in order of 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point. At the end of the 3rd round, the person with the most points wins and gets to come back on next week's show. However, we can't forget that the 3rd and final round, better known as the rapid fire round, is worth double the points, meaning the best answer will receive 6 points and so on and so forth. In this round, the contestants have not been able to see or prepare for these questions whatsoever, so they'll have to think on their feet and come up with their idea of what the best possible answer is. In the event that there is a tie by the end of the 3rd round, there will be a bonus question to see who is crowned champion, and I have that bonus question prepared, so you never know what could happen. Now that we've reviewed the rules, let's get right into it. Always beginning with our Texas football question, the Longhorns managed to escape Vanderbilt on the road on Saturday. While Quinn Ewers had some impressive stats, he also threw 2 interceptions. While the offensive line gave up multiple sacks on 3rd down, there were also some play calls that were pretty questionable. Not to mention there are so many penalties on both sides of the ball. What does Texas need to work on the most during the bye week to get back to how they were playing at the beginning of the season? Kendall, kick this one off for us.
Yeah, like you said earlier, I was at the game in Nashville, and based on the team's dynamic, based on the fans' dynamic, I think Texas needs this bye very badly. Going into halftime, they were up 11, and it looked like a good game. They were playing the right doing the right things, but then that third quarter they really dropped. And I think, like you said earlier, it was the penalties. This was the second game where they had 10 penalties for a loss of 107 yards. They lost a pick 6, and during the Georgia game they had 8 penalties. So I just think they need to slow it down and go back to the basics, that they really just need to do what they know how to do, like how they played during Michigan, the earlier games, because heading into the rest of the season, they can't be doing these silly mistakes because, yes, they got the win, but it was barely, and they gave up easy points.
Penalties, very technical mistakes, but they can make a big difference when you're not making them. Debanny?
Just like Kendall said, I agree it was the penalties. But specifically on the offensive line, I think the offensive line needs to go back to the drawing board and do blocking drills. And if they miss a block, they need to run a mile. Just like they did in Remember the Titans. You drop a ball, you run a mile. If you miss a block, you run a mile. So hypothetically speaking, they better be running their butts off, because it's absolutely unacceptable for them to have that many blocks. They look like a high school team. And you're playing at a collegiate level, one of the biggest brands in college football, and you're doing these silly mistakes. It's not even that they're silly. It's just absolutely absurd. How do you miss that block? These penalties are absolutely unexcusable for just the game of college football. So I think they need to go back to the basics, do a lot of blocking drills, and if they miss a block, they need to run a mile. Or no, better yet, instead of running a mile, they need to run the DKR stairs. Give them a real punishment. That way they don't miss the blocks.
The stair up and down conditioning is no joke, but if that's what has to be done, that's what has to be done. Perla?
Okay, I'm going to go with the O-line again, but I think what Texas needs to do is for the O-line for the O-line to communicate more so that they can play off what the other team is giving them, as well as Quinn, he has to play off what the O-line is giving him. If he's not getting enough time in the pocket, he has to be able to adapt and maybe scramble or maybe try to get out of the pocket and throw on the run. I feel like that's a big thing. And also, I think we need to go back to those big plays that we saw from Quinn at the beginning of the year, where I feel like that builds a lot of momentum, and I think that's what, Texas needs to work on the most.
I think O-line communication is something that constantly needs to be worked on, and it's not something you can take lightly, especially getting deeper into a game when you think that they're settled in. Mistakes happen all the time. But I do think the sole problem is with the O-line. Debanny, you're going to get the 3 on this one just because you talk about conditioning. They need to be more disciplined. I do think communication plays a big part in that too. Perla, you'll get the 2. And then penalties, huge problem, but it was also on both sides of the ball. It's just something that they need to address this week. You'll get the 1 there. Great answers all around, starting us off. But now we're going to transition into a different collegiate sport here. College basketball tips off this coming Monday for both the men and the women. Starting with the women's sport, there were many star players who left for the WNBA draft and some who returned. Who is your early pick for the Naismith Women's College Player of the Year, or in other words, who will be the best this season? Debanny, start this one off for us.
First of all, I love how I'm kicking this question off because I know what they're both going to say. I feel like the obvious answer is either going to be Paige Beckers, Juju Watkins, and between Madison Booker or Rory Harmon. But that's not who I'm going to go with. I'm assuming that's who they're going to go with, or maybe even throw in Hannah Hidalgo from Notre Dame, just throw everyone off. But who I'm going to go with is I'm going to go the center out of Iowa State, Audie Crooks. And this is why. Audie Crooks is going to be entering her sophomore year. She had a phenomenal season, a phenomenal freshman season for the Cyclones. Yes, she's a little bit on the bigger side, but she can rebound insane. She was Iowa State's leading scorer. Not only that, she got a lot of accolades. She was first team All-American, first team Big 12, first team Big 12 freshman, and that's just some to mention. But my favorite stat from her of all time is she shot also 19.2 points per game. But my favorite stat from her of all times is, yes, we know Caitlin Clark was always putting up big numbers, 40 points and everything. But Crooks was the second player in NCAA women's basketball history that she put up 40 points in an NCAA tournament by shooting with 90%. Only the second woman to ever do that, and I think she has my vote.
Could be a problem for those Longhorns. Well, they're not even playing in the Big 12 anymore, but it could be a problem for a lot of teams, and that may be the next biggest star. Perla?
I am a rookie when it comes to basketball, but I am going to go with Paige Beckers because, we saw it last year. She was scoring 21.1 points per game, and she's been insane. She can score from anywhere in the court, so I think that's big. And also a big reason why she didn't declare for the women's NBA was because she wasn't done. There's something else that she needs to do, and I feel like this is going to be her year, and that's why I'm going to go with Paige Beckers.
Talk about trying to get all the accolades. She's graduated. She's gone to an Elite Eight. I think she went to the Final Four last year. It gets also cloudy in my memory. But, last thing she needs to kind of get done. Kendell?
Based on how many names Deb was giving, I don't even know if I looked up the right question with this, but I'm going to say Raven Johnson of the South Carolina team. They're coming off the national championship win, and she's a redshirt junior. She has the time. She has the leadership. But you also have to look at her versatility on the court defensively, too, and she can just step up this year. She was on the watch list last season, and I just think the fact that she's already on that watch list going in, and the Carolina team is going to be just as good this year, there's no reason why she can't win.
Dawn Staley and those South Carolina Gamecocks, they're a women's college basketball powerhouse, and it could be anyone on that court, but if they're being coached by Staley, they have a chance at winning an individual player award and a national championship. Great answers all around. Debanny, I liked your analysis from how do you pronounce her last name?
Crooks.
Audi Crooks. But you don't spell it like the car.
No.
You don't spell it like the car. From Audi Crooks.
I'm blinking. What card?
I like the analysis the most from there. You're going to get the 3 on that one. And then Dawn Staley's South Carolina Gamecocks, you get the 2. And then Paige Beckers, I know that she's done a lot in her career already, but I just think there's so much talent going around college basketball right now. It's still anyone's award. Great answers all around. Now switching over to the men's side of college basketball, the preseason AP poll was released a couple weeks ago, and the top 10 features a few blue bloods like Kansas and Duke, and current powerhouses like Alabama. There were also a couple of other schools. There are also a couple of other schools who. There are also a couple of other teams, who also jumped or dropped many points, like Auburn and Purdue. Which team from these rankings surprised you the most, and why?
I think the one that surprised me the most was Duke ranking number 7th. I thought if you were to look at their practice tapes or anything, just like the full roster that they have, if you were to rank them 7th, I think that it's like, what are you doing? I feel like they're a top team. They're a top 5 team, so I think I'm going to go with the Blue Devils. That surprised me the most.
Blue Devils have Cooper Flagg on their team, and they looked really good in their Arizona State exhibition game. They could be, worth the spot that they got. Kendell?
Okay, my biggest surprise is how could you not put UConn back at number 1? They're coming off the back-to-back national championship run. So I was looking at their roster, and yes, they have 4 new starters coming on, but being coached by Hurley, he knows what he's doing. He has these 4 players that can get the job done and are said to be some of the greatest players he's coached. So I just think the AP poll, putting them at 6 last year, now they're 3 this year, I just think they're taking it for granted that they very well could be back on that championship track, and I just think the polls are going to regret not putting them number 1 for the 2nd year in a row.
Hurley deciding not to get the professional job and coming back was huge for the Huskies. They've got the same mojo. They're the same team, just new players to work with. Debanny?
So kind of staying in the Big East, I think my biggest surprise was Creighton at number 15. And this is why. Yes, the Big East, you have UConn in there who's back-to-back national champions. And the second team on the Big East on that list is at 15. I think Creighton doesn't get a lot of credit, and I think they should be higher because I genuinely think this Creighton team can really challenge UConn and they can take them down at home. Part of the reason as to why is because they return, fingers crossed I say his name right, because if I don't say his name right, I'm absolutely going to kill myself. Anyways, so Ryan Kalkbrenner, you return him. He's probably arguably one of the best centers in college basketball. Not only that, but he's also the 3-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year. You return him. You have him in there. Then you also have Stephen Ashworth, who's a veteran point guard. You have them. And not only to mention that, you have added Pop Isaacs, who's a Texas Tech transfer, whose shooting is absolutely phenomenal. He can't play defense, don't get me wrong, but you don't have to play defense if you have the best defensive player 3 times in the Big East. So I think Creighton needs to be ranked a little higher.
Pop Isaac's a great player. And, you know, Creighton, they've always been a good school of basketball, but they're starting to really, last season and now, they're starting to really look like that team that they had when Doug McDermott and his father were on the team or in the coaching staff. Great analysis there from all people. Perla, I like what you said about Duke the most. I do think that, you know, while they are ranked where they are right now, they are a great team in that they have Cooper Flagg, and I really liked what I saw from them against their Arizona State exhibition game. Debanny, Creighton, they should be higher, I do think, but I'm not sure exactly how good they are yet. And then I like your analysis on UConn, Kendall, but they are such a young team. You said 4 new freshmen. I don't know if anything, I don't know if that makes them a better team or if they should right now be ranked a little worse than they are. But still, great analyses from all y'all. It's been a very fun first block on our collegiate sports. That's going to mark the end of it. But don't go anywhere because College Crossfire returns in just a sec on our spooky Halloween spectacular. Welcome back into College Crossfire. We've got a great show going on right now. We have Debanny Cerda leading with 8 points, Perla Paredes right behind her with 6, and Kendell Ungar with 4. It's still anyone's game, and the title for tonight is up for grabs on our Halloween Spooktacular. So, as we've talked about our college sports, let's move on to the sports equinox that is going on right now. The World Series has been in full swing, and the Dodgers have already taken a lopsided 3-1 lead, though the Yankees did win last night. New York, on the other hand, have struggled to take the first lead in every game so far in the series, except for last night, and they've held the Dodgers from making aggressive contact at the plate. What has gone wrong for the Yankees in this series, and why? Perla, start this one for us.
I think what has gone wrong for the Yankees in this one is that they're putting too much pressure on their starting pitchers. I feel like when you're a starting pitcher and you know that your offense is not producing, you're going to that mound thinking, I have to win this game for us. And I think that puts a lot of pressure, and just how baseball is such a mental sport. So I think that's what they have been going. I mean, we only saw a glimpse of the lineup that the Yankees have just yesterday when they scored that grand slam and they were able to beat the Dodgers. But I think that's the main thing. They're putting too much pressure on the pitching, and then they're getting in their heads. And yeah, the one that has been putting up numbers offensively is Juan Soto, and it's just not been too much.
I truly believe, getting in your head in sports is a crucial thing that can happen. I mean, we just saw, like you said, putting too much pressure on your players. We just saw Garrett Cole go up 5-0 and then stay in the game late, and now the score is 5-5. Like, come on. Debanny?
I don't necessarily think the pitching's the problem. Although I do agree with a little bit what Perla was saying. I think the big problem is that you don't have your big bats showing up in this series. By that, I'm talking about you don't have Aaron Judge putting up really good numbers. I mean, aside from today, considering he hit a home run today. But they're not really, I mean, Aaron Judge is batting under 200. And you're talking about one of the greatest players during not the postseason, but during the entire season, who was leading in absolutely everything. And to just kind of like get in his head, not only him, but you have like yesterday's win, yes, they put up numbers, but it was from the guys who are on the end of the lineup. You don't have your 3, 4, and 5 who are stepping up and actually like being that key offensive power that you normally see to get those runs up. You had the little guys step up. So I think that's ultimately what's hurting this Yankees team. It's you don't have the big bats stepping up.
It's mainly been Volpe stepping up for the Yankees, and you don't really have Aaron Judge or Juan Soto. I think Juan Soto's had a couple hits. Aaron Judge might have had a couple hits, but they're not really like playing like their prime regular season play. Kendall, finish this one off for us.
Yeah, I think before last night, the way the Yankees were playing was simply not good. It's like they weren't prepared. They'd been struggling to find that groove. Like Deb said with Aaron Judge, he went 1-12 with 7 strikeouts, and that's just not good numbers. That's not something he's familiar with. That offense is struggling for the Yankees. And you also, like Deb said too, it's only 3 Yankees had 3 or more hits going, and that's not what you need in a World Series game. So I think, yes, they got the win yesterday, but you also have to look at the Dodgers. I think there's no way they don't win next game to finish out the
Dodgers
series.
clearly have so much momentum right now, but I think the biggest issue with the Yankees is they can't put their bats to the baseball, and so they're not making enough contact at the plate. Debanny, I like your analysis the most on this one and how Aaron Judge and Juan Soto need to step up. Kendall, you touched on the same thing. You'll be getting the 2 on this one, and then Perla getting the 1. The Yankees have been pitching well, but I think it's just their management keeping them in the game for too long. That's why they're losing, and that mentality gets to them. Great answers all around. Switching over to the NFL, isn't this a great time of the year? You know, NBA, NFL, college sports, and the MLB all going on. The Dallas Cowboys fell 30-24 to the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday night, setting them a current 3-4 record. After Dallas was leading 10-6 at halftime, the Niners proceeded to score 21 unanswered in the third quarter and take a 17-point lead. Some may say it's injuries, others may say it's pure drama in the franchise, but I want to ask you this. Is the Cowboys' record entirely a fault of Mike McCarthy, and if so, does he need to go? Debanny, this is you.
I don't think it's his fault. And this is why. I think everyone in Dallas is starting to realize that everything is going through CeeDee Lamb. And I think they're starting to realize how much it hurts them that they don't have a running back and they don't have different options at wide receivers. And I think that weakness is really starting to show. I think more of the problem is upper management with Jerry Jones not wanting to sign not wanting to sign a running back, because that gives the weight off of CeeDee Lamb. Everything's going through him. And like hypothetically, we're halfway through the season, we're a little farther along on the lines. If CeeDee Lamb gets hurt, who else is putting up numbers? Who's stepping up for Dallas? They haven't signed anyone. All the points basically go to him. So I think Dallas really needs to figure it out instead of talking about D's nuts, in my opinion.
No disrespect to who the Cowboys signed during the offseason. I mean, they got Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook. That's probably the greatest running back room of all time if it's 2016, but it's not. It's about 8 years later, and they don't have those big-time running backs. I think, management is an issue. Kendall?
Yeah, I never like to say it's completely the coach's fault because they're not the ones on the field. But I think in this case, you have to look at how McCarthy acted in the post-game press conference week after week. He sounds like a broken record at this point. He knows what's happening, but he'll be like, oh, it will get fixed. But it doesn't. And he had that extra week to prepare for this game, and things are just not working. He's in his 5th year of the contract, and I think Jerry Jones is honestly preparing to get a new coach. I think that's why he's kind of settling in with the players he has, and they're just trying to get by this season. But I think, frankly, just I think he needs to go. I think Dallas fans are starting to really push for him out because it's just you can't say the same things and have that preparation going in, and you completely just fall back on your plan. And we all know the 49ers outplayed Dallas that game.
You know, it's interesting you say that because I feel like people also feel the same way about Dak Prescott. I mean, he's a great quarterback, but I can't tell if the Cowboys fans also are kind of waiting for him to play his years out so they can get a new one. Who knows, though? He has a big contract. Perla?
I'm going to go yes and no. I think, the Cowboys have been the same team that they are now for years. So it's not big. Jerry Jones is the one, he's the owner, and I think he doesn't do any changes. I mean, we barely saw them do anything in this offseason, get anybody else, and I feel like the Cowboys go as long as Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb go. So I think their team is very one-dimensional, and what makes a team one-dimensional is also their coaching. Who's the one that's making the plays? The coach. So I think he does have to go for that reason. I mean, it's just the same team over and over again, but it's not just him. I think it's, all management or all coaches, I believe.
Yeah, I like how you said that. It's a very one-dimensional team right now, and they haven't really signed as many players as they should have signed in the offseason. I like how you said that, because if you're not doing anything, doing anything to change the outlook of the team, then don't expect your coach to solve your issues for you. You'll be getting the 3 on that one, Perla. I like how you said Mike McCarthy's like a little bit of a broken record right now. It doesn't seem like they're really treating him or using him like he's their go-to coach, and they're kind of playing out his days, or however many seasons he has left. It might be his last one if it keeps up, but you'll get the 2 on that one. Debanny, the 1, but great answers all around. And one of my favorite questions of the night, we have 2 Texas natives on our panel, Debanny, Perla, and one from Nashville, who I can safely assume is a Memphis Grizzlies fan, both 2 cities from Tennessee. So regardless, the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, the Dallas Mavericks, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the New Orleans Pelicans all play in the same NBA division, the Southwest. Over the past couple of seasons, the standings have been dominated by both the Mavericks and the Grizzlies. Now, however, the Rockets look like they're finally playing like an NBA team with playoff potential. The Spurs are coming together with Wemby. The Grizzlies have Ja Morant back on the court, and the Mavs are still the Mavs. Tell me who wins the division this season, and give me your final standings. Kendell, this is you.
Yeah, so I see the Mavs coming out on top once again. I think no one expected them to get as far as they did last season, and they did fall short to the Celtics, but it was a good run, and I think they are returning most of their teams. So I have Mavs at 1, and then I have the Rockets at 2. I think, like you said, they are playing very good basketball right now. I think they'll be a very good team this year. You said best of 4, but I just slipped in the Pelicans at 3. And then I think the Grizzlies are 4. You have Morant back on the court, which is huge for the team, but a team is not made of one player. And I also like how Zach Edey, their new draft, he won't be his best this season, but he'll be a huge help coming on. So I just think right now the Grizzlies won't be at their best, but they'll get there eventually. And then at 5, I have the Spurs. I just think they're playing like they always are, and it's not their year.
No geographical bias here, but this may with just the circumstances, this season's gonna be super interesting to watch how the standings will be.
Mine is similar. I think the Mavs. I feel like Mavs are the Astros of their division. I mean, it's their league to lose, just like how we've seen for the Astros. And second, I'm gonna put the Rockets. The Rockets have been bad for a couple years now, but what what happens when you have a bad team? You get first-round picks. So I feel like that team is going to come together eventually this year. So I think I'm going to put them at 2. At 3, I'm going to go with the Grizzlies. Oh my God, I always forget that name. But I said that yesterday. Anyway, the Grizzlies. And then, because they're just not better. They're a little better than the Spurs. And Spurs, I'm going to go with 4th because all they have is Wemby, I feel like. And then last, I'm going to go with the Pelicans. So, yeah.
Like I said, the standings should shake out in any way possible. Debanny, finish this one off.
So I actually have a different answer from both of you guys, which I'm actually surprised. but I'm going to have the Mavs at first just because they had one of the biggest signs with Clayton Thompson on there. And they also got Quentin Grimes from a former Houston Coug, which I absolutely love. So I think I'm going to put the Mavs to win it out. Second, I'm going to have the Grizzlies. I really believe in this team, and part of the reason is I think they're going to be able to pick it up later towards the end of the season, and they're going to be one of those teams where I think they're just going to get really hot, and they will eventually climb up the rankings. I believe in this Grizzlies team. Then 3, I'm going to have the Spurs, because I think Wemby, now that he has a year under his belt, he can fully adjust and be able to do what he does at a high level. And plus, you also added Chris Paul onto that roster. So that's why I'm putting them at 3. At 4, I hate to do this, but I'm going to put the Rockets. Yes, signing Jalen Green was great. As a Houston Rockets fan myself, I think they just need a little bit more experience. And I believe in this team, but I just don't think they'll beat out the Spurs. And lastly, I'm going to put the Pelicans.
Great standings all around from there. I have to agree most with Kendall on this one because I think the Mavs, we all got the Mavs outright to be the team, but Ja Morant is back, but I don't know how good the Grizzlies are going to be. I mean, they don't have the same players that they did 2 seasons ago when they were making a playoff run. I do think the Rockets will be up there, but I'm just not quite sure if how good the Spurs are yet. I know they have Chris Paul. They're going to be a much better team. He's going to have some veteran leadership for Wemby, but we'll see. We'll see. Debanny will get the 2 on that one, and then Perla finishing out with the 1. That's going to wrap it up for our questions on our second block tonight. Up next, we have rapid fire, so stay tuned. So it's going to get real hot in here on Halloween tonight. Stay with us. You're not going to want to miss any of this. Yeah, love the encouragement. Let's go. Welcome back into College Crossfire. We have a super close game right now with Debanny Cerda leading with 14 points and Kendell Ungar and Perla Paredes right behind her tied at 11. But, as the tradition goes, it's rapid fire as we begin our third and final round. So, leading things off, double the points, double the pressure. It's about to get hot. October 31st, Halloween, a time of the year where people can dress up as whoever they want as a tribute to their favorite movie, show, book, character, trend, etc. On this holiday, many athletes have famously dressed up as iconic characters. Think LeBron James as Freddy Krueger or JJ Redick as the Lego Man. You're a rookie in your favorite professional sports league and still trying to make a name for yourself with many fans watching. You have a game on Halloween, so which costume are you wearing as you walk from your car down the tunnel to the locker room before the game, and why? Keep in mind, this is a nationally televised game, so in this scenario, what is the best costume that you would like to wear? Is it going to be Darth Vader? Is it going to be, Mickey Mouse? Tell me.
I'm going to go with Baymax from Big Hero 6.
Okay.
I love that movie, and I just think it's so funny. like you have like an athlete so strong-willed, ready for this game, and they just show up with a Baymax costume on. So I just think that'd be great.
Disney Pixar fan
Yeah,
over here.
That's what I'm going with.
I'm still thinking.
I'm thinking too. I think I would go with Nacho Libre. I mean, I was him last year. You know, he's iconic. So I think him. I feel like that'd be funny. I feel like that's good who I'm gonna be. You know, spread the Mexican culture.
Classic movie.
Okay.
Debanny.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm like brainstorming 2 characters right now, but I'm gonna have to go with Puss in Boots from Shrek. I love Shrek growing up, and just imagine just showing up in the boots, in the hat, nationally televised. Not only do you bring the Western wear, but you also bring representation for an animal and a beloved movie, because who doesn't love a cat in boots?
That was, you know, Puss in Boots. I remember seeing all the Shreks; they were good, but like, no, not knocking Puss in Boots at all. But I remember seeing that movie. I didn't know if I had low expectations, but that was a great movie.
It made me cry. I love that movie.
That was an amazing movie when I saw it. But getting off topic a little bit here. Great answers all around. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, 4th of July. Each of these holidays usually have a sporting event associated with it. For example, I can usually turn on the TV on the days before and after Easter Sunday and find the Final Four on my screen. Doing so reminds me of a time where I'm at home watching with my family as I celebrate the Easter Sunday. Which is the best sport holiday association or combination, and why?
I'm going with Thanksgiving in the NFL. I love Thanksgiving so much. I like it better than Christmas, but just the thought of like being with your the thought of being with your family, eating that such good food, then you're in a food coma, and then you just turn on your TV to NFL games. It's the best. I remember growing up, I would go to MetLife Stadium when I lived in New Jersey, and we would go on Thanksgiving some years, and it was just the best. So I just love Thanksgiving and NFL.
What time of the day do you have your big Thanksgiving feast?
Well, sorry. What happened was my brother plays in college, so we usually go to him. So we really have to do it really early or really late after his game. But my favorite to do it was like 4 p.m.
Okay, so we do the 1 o'clock eatings. We do the Lions game appetizers. You know, go for it.
So that was literally what I was going to go with. But I'll settle for this second answer because it's my favorite holiday. I have to go with Christmas and the NBA. Because nothing's better than opening, after you eat, like, you're still in your pajamas, you're watching the TV, you're opening your presents as you have an NBA game on. And it's very helpful that they're going to be streamed on Netflix this year, which will be, it's going to be streaming on Netflix. I believe the Rockets are playing on the Netflix thing as well.
So are the Texans on Christmas Day.
So are the Texans. So just imagine you can have both of them. You just are opening your presents. Maybe you get Texans or just Houston gear, opening your presents, watching it, and just eating a bunch of cookies that probably Santa left over the night. And just with your hot chocolate, talk about a great memory, especially for young kids in your pajamas. It's a core memory for sure.
The NBA Christmas Day is so fun to watch. It was also more fun when the Rockets were playing on it. I hope they get a bid next year now that we're good. I'm looking at you, Adam Silver. Give us a bid for Christmas Day next season. 2016 Cavs versus Warriors Christmas Day. Great game, classic game. Every star showed out. Perla, finish this one off.
I grew up in Mexico, so what I loved watching was the World Cup every single year. It was like, and it's just like in the summer or like Mexican independence. I think it was just like those connected. And I mean, I have never seen Mexico go that far, but I still enjoyed the soccer. I still enjoy watching soccer. So, I mean, it's the most beloved sport in the world. So it's just like, that's just how I grew up. And I'm not really tied to the NFL because I'm not from here. Yeah.
I love the World Cup. It is so fun to watch. And I think it's so cool how players, they leave their clubs at a given time. Usually this summer, they leave their clubs at any point, and they put that all on pause, and they're like, okay, it's time to actually build chemistry with your opponents. Like you could be playing for Real Madrid or Manchester City. Time to be teammates and fight for your country. It's a great time every 4 years. Great answers all around. So the final one. Think hard on this one. Some people like them sweet, others like them sour. Some people prefer chocolate, and others prefer candy. Which is the best sweet treat you can get in your goodie bag on Halloween, and why?
Listen, I'm a sweet treat connoisseur. I love a good sweet treat. Jason knows that because he funds all my sweet treats. I love a good sweet treat. The best thing you can receive on Halloween is when you go up to the house and you see the full-size chocolate bars. Nothing beats a full-size chocolate bars.
Which one?
Any kind. Whether it's Hershey, the Kit Kat ones, especially just like anyone, because I know you can get them at Costco. You can get a really good deal on them. Whether it's Reese's, Hershey's, or just anyone, because they sell the big packs of them. But nothing beats going as a little kid and seeing they have full-size candy bar, the joy it brings you. And not only that, but you literally run up to your dad and your mom and be like, oh my goodness, Mom, I just got a full-size candy. The joy that brings me and little kids, I mean, you can't beat that. Talk about a core memory. And then you go around telling everyone the very next day at school, oh my goodness, I went to this house and got a full-size candy bar. You can't beat that.
Full-size candy bars, they know how to do it.
I'm going to be very specific. I'm going with those Reese's eggs, but they have like the pumpkin version for Reese's. Those are so good. They have like them in Christmas trees. They have them in the pumpkins, and they have the Easter. Those are my favorite just because I'm sorry if you have a peanut allergy. That's really unfortunate. But I'm not really a sour candy kind of person. I like chocolate a lot. So I just think when you get those pumpkin Reese's, it just like makes my day because there's so much filling inside. And personally with for example, the big Reese's, you just have the cups and that's boring because it's like not as soft going on, but that's what I'm going with.
I'll have to try those.
My favorite candy, and I feel like I would enjoy it any time of the year, is those Nerds gummies. I love those. Those are my favorite, and if I were to get them on Halloween, that would be my dream. Just, a little pack. I mean, they're big, so I feel like that's my candy. That's my that's my choice.
Great answers all around from our contestants. Y'all made this one. I think this is the closest show we had all year. No, but those rapid fire answers, y'all made this one close. But there's only going to be one winner on our Halloween Spooktacular. So, drum roll from our audience, please. By 1 point, our winner tonight is Debanny Cerda. Do we have time for FaceTime?
Well, we're getting FaceTime anyway.
Debanny, take it away. Yes, we do. All right.
We're getting FaceTime anyway. I want to thank everyone for watching. Ka-chow. Duh. Clearly, that's what it is. Want to thank my family, everyone, the lovely viewers who are watching me. Great show from everyone all around. And it's always great to be dressed up on Halloween for our all-girls show.
Well, thank you, Debanny. Congrats to you once again. That's going to wrap things up for us here at TSTV tonight. Thank you to everyone who makes this show possible, from the contestants to the in-studio personnel, all the people in Master Control, especially our executive producer, Tyler Moss, who puts in so much hard work to make this show come to life, and to you, the audience. Remember to tune into our other shows for the One to Know on Friday, gets you prepared for a bye week, and your college press box on Tuesday night. That's going to do it for us at Crossfire tonight. I'm your host, Robert Gonsolin. Happy Halloween and have a good night.